everybody, it's Gemma here from Made by Gemma Crafts.co.uk. Thank you for joining me again today. Now, today I have got this gift box for you and I'll just stand it up, and as you'll see it's a triangle shaped box. Something a little bit different maybe, and I designed this box, so if I just take the lid off, so I designed it so I could fit one of these little tiny jar candles in. Now I'm going to be doing these to sell at my craft fair coming up in the end of November for Christmas. And also I think I might do these for teacher gifts as well at Christmas. Now you'll see on this I've actually attached my little tag label to the lid of my box, because when I was designing and making this box, I just pop the lid back on, I decided that it sat better if I sort of attached it to the lid, and it again just a little bit different, so different is good as far as I'm concerned. Now what you are going to need for this box, I've got all the bits here. Now I'll just talk you through the designer series paper. On here is from the Be Merry designer series paper, and that is in the annual catalogue. My sentiment on the front is from the Snowflake Sentiment stamp set, which is in the holiday catalogue, along with this ribbon as well. That's also in the holiday catalogue. And I have used a base of garden green. Now the garden green here is actually in a cardstock pack with the cherry cobbler here and also some thick whisper white, and that's in the annual catalogue, that little cardstock pack. As always, I'm using my Stitch Shapes framelit dies as well for my ovals on the front. You know that's my go-to set. And just to show you the stamp set, the Snowflake Sentiments, it's this one here. We're going to be using this stamp here, Season's Greetings. But this is a lovely stamp set, and it also has a set of coordinating dies with it as well, which are really, really lovely as well. We've got some nice snowflakes and so on and so forth in there. So if I just pop these bits out of the way, I've got loads of boxes everywhere at the moment, obviously where I'm preparing for my craft fair, and also going to on stage as well soon. We've got about a month to go. So excited, cannot wait to go and see the rest of the Crafty Cupcakes as well. That's my team that I belong to. So let's just pop these out of the way, and today I'm going to do it in some cherry cobbler. So, and I've already pre-cut all my bits and bobs. Now all the measurements as always will be on my blog, and a link to that will be in the description box below this video. But I will just talk you through quickly. So I've got all my little bits there. Right, now for the base of my box, I've got a piece of card that is 11 5/8, so it's a full A4 length, and I've cut it down on this side to 7.5 inches. For my lid, I've got another piece. Now I've cut this one down slightly to 11.5 inches, and that is by 4 3/4 of an inch. And also for our lid we're going to need a little rectangle as well. Now this is 3.5 inches by 1.5 inches, and this is the bit we're going to use to put our lid together. Okay, and then the designer series paper, so I've got some small pieces here that are going to go around the outside of the lid. I've got some larger pieces for the outside of the box as well. These ones are 3.5 inches by 3 3/4 of an inch, and then these smaller ones are 3.5 again inches by 1.25 inches. Now for the top of our box, you'll see we've got a triangle shape to try and cover and cut out. This one was a little bit off when I'd done it. Wasn't too happy about that one, but it was kind of trial and error on how to get the triangle on the top of the box. This one here, which I made before, this one fits better, so I don't know really how I managed not to get the other one to fit, because I made a template which I'm going to explain to you anyway. And for those of you wondering, unfortunately this is from last year's holiday catalogue. It's the Candy Cane Lane designer series paper, and I absolutely loved it, and I had a little bit left over, so I used some for this box because it's just so cool. I loved it. It's really sad that we didn't get that one back, but onwards, upwards, new things, always good. So anyway, I've got a square here which is 3.5 by 3.5, and we're going to use that to cut our triangle out on top. We're going to make a template and I will show you all about that in a moment. And then I've also of course got some Whisper White that I'm going to stamp on, and another piece of cherry cobbler there that I'm going to cut my ovals out of. So, oh, and my ribbon here comes from the holiday catalogue. So I've got the little skinny real red one, and then I've got the quilted Christmas ribbon. I think that's what it's called. It's all listed on my blog, so it'll all be there, the correct names. Terrible, there's so many names and I can just never remember. But anyway, we'll pop this over to one side for now because we don't need that. So I'm just going to pick up my bits of card. I'm going to get my scoreboard. Here we go. Which is like all nice and clean and shiny. It went and had a bath because it got all gunked up. There we go. So I'm going to start with our base of our box. Okay, and we're going to put the long side across the top first, so the full A4 length. And we are going to score at 3 3/4 of an inch, 7.5 inches, and then again at 11.25 inches. There. Then we're going to rotate by 90 degrees, and we're going to just do one score on this side at 3.5. There we go. So now we've got our 3 panels. These are going to be the sides of our box, and this is the bottom of our box here. So I'm just going to pop that over to one side and bring in the other piece, the smaller piece for our lid, and we're going to score that while we've got our scoreboard out. So if we start again with the long side, so the 11.5 inch side at the top, we are going to score at 3 7/8 of an inch, and then at 7 3/4 of an inch. There's only 2 score lines on that side. We're going to then rotate again by 90 degrees, so we've got our short side at the top of our board, and we are going to score that at 1.5. So if I just turn that back now, we've got our 3 sections across the top which are going to make the lid of our box, and then we have our small section that's going to make the lip like that. So if I just take that out, then we need to get our little rectangle, our one that's 3.5 inches by 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to pop it long side at the top, and I'm going to score that at 1 3/4 of an inch, so just in half. Like so. So that's that. Let's get rid of the scoreboard now, so we're all done with that one. And let's bring in our bits and bobs. So, right. So we've got our small piece. Now we can just go along and fold and burnish all our lines that we've scored in on our lid and our base. Not too many to do. Our lid done, and you've got this little skinny one, can be quite fiddly, so just give it a good press down like so, and I'm going to fold it down the middle, score, now 2 other score lines, there we go. So that is all the scoring done on our base. So if we concentrate on that one first, I'm just going to grab my big scissors because we need to cut a few bits out of this one. So your smaller sections down here are going to be your base, and these bigger ones up here are the sides of your box. So what we need to do is we need to take this little tiny rectangle out on this side here only, up to the score line here, so we can fold our base. You can just notch off a tiny little bit on there as well. So we just take that away like so. And then what we're going to do is going to take our scissors and we're going to cut up to the score line on both of these lines here. So that's that done. Then we're going to flip it over. So now we've got our little join inside here on this side, and there's a bottom. What we're going to do is we're going to put on our design series paper. So these are just going to sit across here, and we're going to pop these on now before we put our box together because it's a bit easier. So I'm going to use my fast views to put them on. And also at the moment Stampin' Up is celebrating World Card Making Day, and what they've done is they've given us 15% off selected products, but one of the big offers on there is the fast views. Now last year for World Card Making Day they were saying if you bought one fast views you'd get one refill free. This year you buy one fast views you're getting 2 refills for free. So I've worked it out, you're getting 52 metres of adhesive tape for £9, which is really quite good. So if you're a fan of the views, it's a good time to go on and get some, stock up. I know I definitely will be. And also you want to check out the other offers on there because there's some stamp sets and some note cards and envelopes as well. They've also got 15% off. And another one is also the designer series paper sale as well. So you buy 3 packs, get 1 free. So that's 4 for the price of 3. And this one here, the Be Merry, is included in that offer. So that's pretty good. There we go. But all the details about the current promotions from Stampin' Up are all on my website. So you can check that out later. There we go. Let's just pop this one on. Round we go. There we go. So that's just our last piece in there. So that is all our lovely patterned paper stuck on. So now what we need to do is we need to put some adhesive down this side here, and we're going to pop our box together. So again, I'm just going to run my fast fuse down the side there. Now this can be a little bit tricky. If you just want to bring up your sides to meet. Obviously you can't lay it flat because it's not a box shape, it's only got 3 sides. If you just carefully push it together, and then once you've got it into position you can just give it a good squish. You can fold that back and just pop your fingers in to give it a good squish down. Of course you can use your wet glue, Tombow, whatever your glue of choice. So there we go. So now we've got our triangle box starting to come into shape. Now we need to cut these panels so they fit in a triangle shape. Now I've tried many different ways of doing this, measuring and cutting to the centre, making a point before I cut it, but they never lined up properly. So the best way I have found to do it is if you take 2 of your sides and fold them back on themselves. So you've got like this, and then you can stand up your box and you will see, you can see where to cut. So if you just grab your pencil and just go along the line of your box on both sides, like so. So if I open that back up, you'll see now we've got the correct measurement for the bottom of our box. So all you're going to do is fold one side up, fold 2 sides up, have one under, and then just go around and draw around your box. Now you won't see these because obviously they're going to be on the inside of your box, but you can always rub your pencil lines out afterwards. So we're just going to put the last 2 up to the last one. So again, make sure your pencil's nice and sharp as well. It will help with drawing your lines accurately. So if I just fold it out that way, now you can see I've got my triangle shapes. So all I'm going to do is take my scissors and cut them out. Apologies if you cannot see what I'm doing, it's a little difficult to see the lines. And I don't have the best light in my craft room, it's a bit of a funny room. There we go. And the last one. There we go, so we've got all our little triangles cut out now. Let's get that rubbish. So now all we need to do is bring them in over on top of each other, and we can fold it flat, and we've got the base of our box. So as you will see, look out, find the seam on the back of your box. So my seam is here, so I'm going to fold these two in first, and then that one in last, because it's going to be the front of our box here. So what I'm going to do is put some fast views on two of these flaps here. So that one, and then this one. I really hope my fuse doesn't run out while I'm doing this. And then we can just fold in our triangles to meet together and give it a good push down. Flip it over, stick your hand in, give it a push down. There we go. So we've got the bottom, our base of our box ready and done and decorated. So let's pop that off to one side and bring in the other piece of cardstock for our lid. Now we're going to pretty much do this in the same way. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut down to our score line here. So in our larger rectangle shapes, I'm going to cut down. And then what we're going to do is use our little rectangle card that we've scored in half to join this together to make our lid. Now if you had some 12 by 12 cardstock, I will put the measurements up for that. I don't have any at the moment, I've run out of 12 by 12. So you can do it all in one piece, I think. So what I'll do is I'll pop the measurements up for that as well. But for now, I'm just going to show you using A4 because I find that's what most people have got is A4. And also you can get the card pack in A4 as well. So we have here, so what we're going to do is we're just going to stick this on the end. Like so. So let's put some adhesive on here. I'm going to put plenty of fast fuse on this to keep it, and everywhere else, to keep it all in place and together. Okay, let's get this bit of fuse off of there, otherwise I'll get stuck to it. There we go. So I'm just going to put this so it just lines up with the edge and my score line. There we go. And you want to make sure it just sits just under the score line so you can still fold your top over. And you will see that it does slightly overhang, but we can trim that off. Let's see here, we can trim that off with our scissors afterwards. It's much easier to make it slightly bigger at 1.5 and then trim off your little bit of excess, because taking it down even with 1/8 of an inch made it too small. So there's that. So now what we're going to do is put some fuse on this side here, and we're going to fold it around and join it together to make our lid. So again, good few rows of fuse. As you can see, it is super sticky, so it's fantastic for making boxes. And I absolutely love it. It's so easy. It's so much cleaner than wet glue as well, because I would just end up covered in glue. And I will say, I have my nails done. I have gel nails. It doesn't rip off my nail varnish either, or my gel nails, should I say. It's really good. Really, really good. So there we go, we can just bring them together to join them. Could have got that a little bit closer, but there we go. So that makes that to make our lid. Again, if you've got a little bit overhanging, I've got a tiny little bit, I'm just going to try and use my snips just to trim that down a little. It's such a tiny amount. But there we go, you can see now I've brought that all level together. There we go. So we're basically going to do the same on our lid as we did on our base. So what we're going to do is going to fold two sides out, fold one side over, but this time I'm going to do it from the inside because it's slightly easier. So again, just take your pencil and draw along your lines. There we go, and you can go along. And obviously try and hold this as straight as you can. And then our last one here. There we go. So again, we've got them all on the inside, and you can rub those out if you want to as well. So now we can just cut along our lines and try and be really nice and neat and careful on the top. There we go, I'll get that off with my paper snips in a minute, that one. There we go, just carefully trim along and cut out your triangle shapes again. Big scissors are no good for that. Let's use the snips. There we go, much better. There we go, and then our final one here. Ooh, we didn't put our designer super paper on, did we, in this one before we stuck it together. That's alright, we can pop it on afterwards. I thought I was being a bit too organised and it was all going a bit too well for me. I always managed to do something in the wrong order. But there we go, never mind, we can get it on, same effect. Right, so let's get rid of that. And you see we've got our triangles now, so hopefully this should all fold down and be perfect. So here is the back of our box because that's where our seam is, so we're going to bring our two sides over first and then our front one last, so we've got a nice edge along the front of our box. Let's just trim this little straggly bit off here that I managed to miss. There we go. So again, we're going to put some adhesive on this side and this side here. So let's just grab that. So some for that side and then some for the front. There we go. So we're going to fold this one over first and then that one in over afterwards. And just turn that over and give it a nice push down. So hopefully it should look kind of neat inside as well. But yes, this is the outside and the lid is all done now. So let's just pop on my lovely Be Merry paper. A little bit more awkward now I've put it together. But hopefully you'll remember to stick it on before you assemble. Or you can do it afterwards like this. It's completely up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with doing. Okay. So what we're going to do next is sort out our template for the top of our box. So right, we've got our box there. Now we need to cover the top. So I'll work out where your front is. Here's the front of our box because there's our flat seam at the front. Right, I've got a piece of copier paper. This is very technical. Here we go. We're going to take our pencil and we are going to draw around our lid as neatly as we can. There we go. Oh, try not to move it. There we go. Obviously, if you do get a pencil line on the edge of your box, you can just go around with your rubber and take that out. So here we go. We've got our circle, our triangle even. Circle, what am I thinking of? Now we can just cut this out. Oh dear. Nice and neat. There we go. I mean, if there are other ways that you could feel you could cut the triangle out to the top of your box, feel free. This is just one way that I've got to work for me. I find it easier to have a little template. So there we go. Remember, this is, I'm going to put a little, this is the bottom front side of our box down here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fold this in half. Hopefully it should match up nice and neat. If my box is nice and neat, there we go. So I've folded that in half, like so. And then I'm going to grab my trimmer. And then, now for the life of me, I can't remember how I done this. But never mind. Right, I'm going to pop it on my trimmer. And I'm just going to line this edge up with the first little marker that is on my scoreboard. On my trimmer. So I think that's like 1/8 of an inch. I'm just going to carefully do that. And then what I did was, because it's so small and fiddly and it'll fly off, I just put a bit of tape down to hold it in place so I could pop that down, hold it down and then trim that off. So I've taken off like 1/8 of an inch. And just peel this off. It's just a bit of washi tape I've got. There we go. You can unfold it and then see how the size is on your box. So this is still a bit big, so I'm going to take a bit more off. And it's kind of trial and error. Oh, don't want to cut that side. Let's flip it over. So now this time I'm just going to go to the edge. That little marker again, that first little mark, so the 1/8 of an inch mark. Just going to hold that down. Oh, and it's wiggled. There we go. Oh Christ. There we go. We got there. We're all right. We're all right. So it's just a case of trimming it down till it's the size that you want it to be for the top of your box. Now that's okay for mine. So now I've got my little template. If you make more, you can keep these. And there we go. Now what I did was my other one, I backed it on an old piece of card that I had. But this one, I'll get the little, this is the square of Designer Series paper. Now I'm just going to pop it on there. I'm going to stick it right down onto that bottom line there. And I'm just, for the purpose today, I'm just going to be cutting around it. Normally I would draw around it first and then cut it out, but I just want to save a little bit of time on camera today. So there we go. We've got now, I've got our triangle cut, and that is going to fit on top nicely. So we can attach that to the top as well. Hopefully I haven't waffled on too much. It's always the fear. just line that up and pop that on top of our box there. So we've got a nice top. Right, so we can bring in our base now, and that fits lovely on there. There we go. Let's get the right front bit. Now we can do our stamping and cutting out our ovals. So I've got some cherry cobbler ink here. Let's grab my stamp. Give that a good push on there. Right, let's stamp our sentiment. There we go. Let's get rid of our ink before it goes everywhere. Right, as I said, I'm going to use my stitch shape framelit dies. I'm going to use the ovals. I'm going to use the biggest one and the next one down. And my big shot is just over to one side. So I'm just going to make sure that's dry. I'm just going to pop this over the top. Now it's going to cut some of the greeting off, but that didn't bother me. I quite liked it. Quite like the effect. I'm just going to whack a piece of washi tape on there. I'm going to run these through. Yes, both at the same time. I know we shouldn't do that, but we need to save some time today. There we go. So I'm just going to knock everything off my desk and whack them through. There we go. Okay, so we've got our cherry cobbler oval and our stamp sentiment here as well, cut out. Just push that out gently. There we go. Now you can layer them up straight, it's up to you, but I've gone a little bit wonky. So I'm going to take this one first and I'm going to put it over, just going to lay it on this, on my desk at a bit of an angle. Then I'm going to take some views and I'm just going to put a couple of strips on. Then I've got my bit of ribbon. I'm just going to cross it over, making like a little loop at the top. I'm just going to lay that down there. And then I might need to put a little bit of fuse on top of the ribbon there. I'm going to take my little skinny red one and I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to lay that down on top as well. It's just sort of sitting inside. Then I'm going to get some dimensionals. Yeah, I've got a few left on here. I'm going to pop these on the back here. And I'm just going to pop that across there at an angle. Push that down. So like we've got our little tag done. Now we can just trim up the ends on our ribbon. There we go. So we've got our little tag done. Now we just want to put a little bit of fast fuse across this top bit here so we can stick it onto the lid. Run that across there, and I'm going to bring my box in and I'm just going to position it where I want it, which is there. Gently push that down, then I can take the lid off and then give it a proper push down with my fingers. Make sure there's no fuse hanging out the other side, otherwise it's going to get stuck. There we go. Let's bring our little candle in. There we go, and that fits in there perfectly. And then we can pop our lid on and we've got our little boxed candle ready to go. So now it's all done. As I said, all the measurements, a full list of what I've used today is going to be on my blog, and that's going to be, a link for that will be in the description box. There's also a link so you can go and shop now as well, 24 hours a day on my Stampin'Up store. Don't forget to take advantage of the promotions running at the moment. The 15% off selected stamps for World Card Making Day. That is only 10 days, that one. So get yourself in, get yourself over to Stampin'Up and have a look quick. That's also got the fast use offer on it, so that's one's there. Then you've got the Designer Series paper sale as well. That is running until the 31st of the month, so you've got a whole month for that one, but good time to stock up on your DSP and whatnot. And that's all for now, so thank you for watching, and I will see you all again soon. Thanks, bye.